Welcome to Something to Marvel About, a podcast where we discuss and dissect Marvel releases. My name's English Dave, and joining me are my variants, Raven and Andrew. What's up, nerds?
What's up?
What
What's
up,
up?
Dave?
We're here to talk Deadpool and Wolverine, but before we get into it, let's go with our spoiler free thoughts. Raven, what do you.
Blah, no spoiler free thoughts. Fuck out of here. Spoiler free doesn't make any sense. The entire movie is a spoiler.
Yeah, but
How do you talk about the movie without spoiling anything though? Because
I
there's
figure we always
cameos,
we always do.
there's like Easter eggs in every scene. No.
I mean,
No.
fair enough.
Because like what did you guys plan on saying that wasn't gonna spoil the amazingness that is Deadpool and
I
Wolverine?
mean, it just go for podcast protocol,
It
right?
was good?
Yeah,
Nobody came here for that.
yeah, I'm gonna have to stand with Raven on this one, to be honest. It's yeah. No.
Okay, fine, whatever. Fine.
You know why we came, baby. Let's go.
I mean, it's been 3 weeks. If you haven't seen the movie by now, you don't care.
If you haven't
You
seen
don't-
it at least twice, are you even a nerd?
Even Marvel is spoiling the movie, to be honest. If
Okay,
you've
sure.
seen their page.
I mean, if you
Right.
if you haven't been
I care.
spoiled at this point and you want to watch the movie, you know what? Good for you. I don't know how you did it, but good for you.
Right,
Because-
and 3 weeks, come on. You don't even like
fine,
Marvel.
whatever, fine,
you don't
fine,
even
fine.
care.
No we're not doing a spoiler-free segment. Go watch the movie. That's our spoiler-free thoughts. And if once you've seen the film or you
That's
don't
all,
care,
period.
from here on in, full spoilers. All right, you can have spoilers, but Raven, what are your quick thoughts then?
Quick thoughts. I felt like this was the most perfect Wolverine and Deadpool movie we could have gotten. Like, I didn't set the bar anywhere. I was like, I'm just going to see Wolverine and Deadpool on screen, and I'm excited that this is happening because a lot of us nerds have known like since forever, since horrible Wolverine origins. At bare minimum, Ryan Reynolds has been trying to get this movie
Yep.
made
Yep.
since forever. So for all of us nerds, like even finding out like, oh, it's dropping in July or whatever, like July wasn't even it. We've been waiting almost 10 years plus for this. So now that we're finally here, I was like, I hope the movie just at bare minimum doesn't let me down.
Mm-hmm.
But beyond exceeded my expectations. Like there's things that I might have kind of predicted, but the way that it ends up happening is like just so outlandish. But with that being said, outlandish in the way that is Deadpool. This movie extremely breaks the fourth wall. This
Okay.
movie, really pushes the boundaries. Because even though it's an R-rated movie, it's still like you have moments. It's like, oh shit, they can do this at Disney.
Right.
So yeah, overall, I thought it was just such a thrill ride. Thought it was exciting. There was a lot of fun things going on, and we also had moments where there was depth to it. We had a couple of little emotional moments in there, but I think all in all, like I don't have anything bad to say about it, which makes me feel jaded. I feel like I should have something bad to say. You just love Marvel, but they didn't do
Right.
anything wrong.
Yeah.
What do you want from me? That's how I feel. Those are my thoughts.
Andrew, what are your thoughts? How excited were you going to this film, and how did it make you feel afterwards?
I mean, I was giddy. I stand mostly with Raven. It was it was like a buddy cop on a train ride through a nostalgia museum. I don't even know how to put it in more eloquent words, right? But just what's his name? Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds need to just be together forever till they're 90. They're not going anywhere. I need to see more, right? I left feeling exactly like that, and just even from the intro, just the like intro choreography fight, and shout out shout out the dance moves, bringing Justin Timberlake back to Spotify, right?
Well, Gen Z are calling it the Deadpool dance, and millennials
It's
are
so
like,
sad.
no.
I saw
What are you
that. I was
talking
like,
about?
"Excuse me, the Deadpool." Do you know nothing? But anyways, that aside, yeah, I feel it's not there are not many things that have made me want to go back and watch the X-Men movies other than the initial three, right? I mean, like even like First Class, like Apocalypse, like just everything. Like I now actually want to watch it. Even original Daredevil, which I didn't hate, by the way. Like that movie made me want to literally sit down and watch every single movie that Marvel has put out. And I think that's just a testament to how good it was, right? Nitpicks as always because it's a comic book movie, but I think that was its strength, right? It never like took itself too seriously at all. But when it was serious, right? Like shout out Charles Xavier's sister. Her every time she was on screen, I felt when she had like the finger through the face. Oh my gosh,
Oof.
that like it still like sticks with me till today, right? So my point being like when shit got real, it got real, right? I felt that, but every other time it was just like great one liners, great on on camera chemistry between the two of them, and shout out Wesley Snipes, the real Marvel Jesus. Yeah, those are
no,
my thoughts.
no, I agree.
I gotta get a Blade comic. God damn
Right.
it.
I agree with everything you both said. But also I want to add to the fact that Raven said we've been waiting years for this film. I think it's one of those film that we've been waiting so long. It made me feel. It's one of the movies that made me feel old. There's very few things that make me feel old.
Yeah.
There's moments of like, damn,
100%.
it's been that long. Holy shit.
Right.
You felt nostalgic and in a great way. Like Andrew, like you said, there's a lot of bad Fox era Marvel movies, but that was an era.
Yeah,
Like
it was.
it was an era, regardless of the quality. It was a time. It was
Like
an
I was
era,
Smallville.
and I didn't go in expecting to feel that nostalgia. I was like, God damn it.
Yeah.
You supposed to make me excited and happy, not nostalgic. I was like, oh, fine.
Not old.
Yeah,
You're not supposed to make me feel old. Come on.
Like what? That
What
was
is this?
that's been an era. But what I like as well, it's one of those things of patience, right? As much as they haven't been able to be in a movie together, looking back, you can see the breadcrumbs that have been
hmm
put through. From the X-Men Origins Wolverine, where the
Yep.
Deadpool's mouth was sewn shut, to previous Deadpool movies where Deadpool literally tells Logan like one day he's gonna call you. Make sure you show up, things like that, and it paid off in great ways, even though they didn't know that it was going to happen, and on top of that, this was the first technically MCU Marvel Studios Deadpool movie. When Disney purchased Fox, one of the worries many fans had was, well, is Deadpool going to be neutered?
Yeah,
You know,
not at all.
there hasn't been an R-rated MCU movie. And so it's like, what's that going to be like? And I think this served to kind of quell our fears.
hmm
Like, no, Marvel can do R-rated MCU movies and it can work. And in fact, they probably go in harder.
Yep.
They're not going to hold back. They're not going to neuter. They're not going to tame it, water it down. They can give. It makes me excited for the future of R-rated
Agreed.
Marvel movies,
Yeah.
but also in a way that
Definitely.
you're not just doing R-rated for the sake of it. You're doing it where it makes sense. And someone like Deadpool and Wolverine, it makes sense,
hmm
like purely. And I like the story that they did. I like that even though it was an MCU movie, it was almost like a bridge MCU movie, like that kind of coming into the MCU as opposed to being an MCU. So it did a lot of meta real world kind of integration into the narrative, which again utilizing the fact that the character can break the fourth wall as part of the narrative that can connect with those of us who have been experiencing this narrative in our world. I thought that was very smart. I do have some nitpicks, but I think many of the nitpicks that I have are quelled by the fact that at the end of the day, movies can be as deep, as nuanced, and all that kind of stuff, but at the end of the day, they need to be fun. And this
Yeah.
movie was fun. Like I don't think
hmm
you can argue. You can argue so many other things, but you can't argue that it was just fun. I think it brought fun back to these kinds of movies. I think sometimes these movies can take themselves way too seriously,
Interesting. Yeah.
and it's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be a good time. I remember, again, I'm old enough to remember watching all these movies with Raven when we were in New York. You just coming out, that feeling of just excitement. As a kid again, like
100%.
I'll never forget Avengers 1, man. I'll never forget Avengers 1. Dave and I worked at Comic Con in New York when Avengers 1
right,
came out, and we were there
Amazing.
for the, what
the
is it,
panel,
first, the 15-minute screen.
yeah,
They showed us a 10-minute clip,
yeah,
Oh my
but
gosh.
I
Wow.
think it was the actual team up at the end
yep,
that we saw.
yep.
It was literally like the shot
The
of
shot,
all
the
of
spinning
them
shot.
coming together. We were all like, ah! And we were at a
Jizz
panel
in my
where
pants.
literally it was my job to escort Chris Evans,
Tom Hiddleston.
Ruffalo, Tom
Yeah,
Hiddleston,
Oh,
and
Deadpool.
Feige to their seats at the IGN
Mm.
panel. We like met them,
yep.
and it was like our job to like control their mics and stuff. It was insane.
Mm.
So like that, I feel like it's hard to top the Avengers 1 like
Yeah.
premiere for Dave and I, but this shit was epic. If I would have got to see it with you, Dave, this might have been equivalent.
Oh yeah. And I think again, it's one of those movies that yes, a lots of movies just lean on
Like
fan service,
anticipation.
and this definitely lent on fan service. But
Yeah.
yes, why not?
In the right way.
Yeah, you're supposed to. Like, what else?
Who else are you
Like, this is the
servicing?
best example.
Like,
Right. This is like the best example of fan service.
Yeah.
It's like give us fan service, but also give us a cohesive story
Hmm.
that makes sense. Sometimes they try so hard to give fan service that the actual plot of the story is lost, or you're like, where did this come from? You know, you obviously threw this in here just to make fans feel better. Like, I like
Exactly.
that. I didn't really feel like there was a lot of wasted characters. There's some characters that I was like, wow, you threw them in here, but just to kill them, interesting. But you know, but overall, I definitely felt like
But I think in some ways
this is good fan
it also
service.
subverted what you expected, right? You're like, oh, he's gonna say it,
Yeah,
he's gonna say it,
Yeah.
and then
right.
and he said
Like,
it,
not
but
to be
not
graphic,
what you
but
expected what he was going to say. He said something else, and
yeah,
I love moments like that. Actually, let's go into the story. I think one of the
yeah.
things about this movie is how do you create a story about Wade being in the MCU? We're in the multiverse saga. What story do you create? And I did like the inciting incident that, and this is something that's been planted through the other Deadpool movies, having revisited them recently, in terms of Wade wanting to be a hero. He's been a mercenary, he's been all that stuff, but he wants to be a hero. He wants to do the right thing. So with his time travel shenanigans, set up in Deadpool 2 with Cable's machine being fixed, he decides, I'm going to go to the MCU 616 and I want to be an Avenger. And he doesn't get that. It doesn't work out for him. I like the nice cameo by
Happy.
Happy. He's just a glorified driver.
But you're a chauffeur, no?
What my Everyone should know their place. This is my I have my place, and you should find your place too.
You should find your
That
place.
was so funny. My heart.
uh, and,
He said, "I need Taco Bell." Sorry, I get really awkward at the
and
so
again, those are
stupid.
moments that, like, he's a fan of the Avengers just like we are. He's excited for the Avengers just like we are, and he's unable to, he doesn't get picked. And it comes later on, Paradox, the one of the villains of the story, kind of teases him with, like, hey, if you want to be part of the 616, I can do it, but I'm going to
Hmm.
destroy your universe. So I'm gonna start with you, Andrew. The basic story and the setup, what do you think of that?
It's all you really need, right? Simple enough for you to keep track of what's happening, right? But dense enough because I guess in my mind I was like, what's the win condition? Like, so, okay, he saves his universe. We go back to there's no go back to before, right? Like, why is Thor crying? Like, this is this is what I want to know, right? Like, they've opened up so many questions, but in such a simple plot. Like, it's he's saving his world, but like, oh my god, there's so many like infinite questions now loading from what's going on. So I thought it was a very nice way to go about it. And the Wolverine thing, I think that surprised me a little bit. I mean, going for the worst Wolverine, right? I think that was kind of like it was kind of a nice twist, right? Like, what does Wolverine look, when he's quote unquote done? Like, he's physically able, but he's done mentally, right? Because
Hmm.
Logan was kind of the opposite, right? Wolverine was physically done, but mentally like all there, right? So it's kind of an interesting choice to see this. I literally don't give a damn whiskey claw Wolverine buddied up with Deadpool, who is trying his hardest to actually quote unquote right be a hero, right? And yeah, it just played so well with the entire movie because it was just both of them kind of feeding off each other, right? But at the end of the day, ending up where we wanted it to. So I think it was good for because again, superhero movies don't always have to be like, I don't know, end game level of intricate. Sometimes we just want to see a regular situation get solved by supernatural people. And I think shout out the Paradox as well from Succession and Last Kingdom, if anybody watches that. I thought he did a good job as well, right? He wasn't the most complex villain, right? I think I saw some people complain about that, but I think that's fine. Like, we don't, like I said, I don't always need a Von Doom to be setting up, years of plans. Sometimes just give me a like pistachio villain, like pop and get out of here type of type
And
of
I
guy.
agree with you. I think Paradox, again, if you pay attention to him, he's just a villain that has a single goal. I want to take over the TVA. And for those of us
Mhm.
who've watched Loki, the TVA has gone through
Yeah.
some changes. He doesn't like those changes. He's like, I want to go back to how we used to do, pruning things. Boom, boom, boom,
Hmm.
get it out of the way. You know, it takes too long for universes to be destroyed after what they called again, anchor beings are gone.
Anchor
It takes thousands of
beings. Yeah.
years. I need to happen quickly so I can show the TVA how great I am. So Raven, I'm gonna ask you that too. What do you think of the inciting incident, and also the lead up to bringing in this Wolverine? Because
Mhm.
Deadpool's thinking is like, if I can bring you another anchor being Wolverine, maybe you can fix things, right?
Hmm.
Right. So what do you think, Raven?
All right. So I have a few feelings on that. My first one, I will say, I if I had a nitpick at all, my nitpick would be it is funny. It's actually funny, but The whole movie, I kept thinking that the worst Wolverine was going to be revealed to be the Wolverine from Wolverine Origins. Like the whole time, I was kind of just waiting for them to be like the Origins storyline and universe,
Yeah.
made fans lose so much faith that you are the worst Wolverine, like to me. So I was waiting for it. So that was my slight disappointment because I thought it was going to be hilarious if it was revealed and they were like,
Mhm.
"You were the one that ruined the franchise," and I would have been dying. But I will say I love, and I wrote it in my notes, like I love that technically when you really look at the movie, the whole movie is about Ryan Reynolds fighting to get his Deadpool universe into the MCU and it not being erased. Like it's kind of fire being that he breaks the fourth wall. Like you can go and in one of the quotes of the movies, you can go back to your timeline and die slowly or join the sacred timeline, which is the MCU.
Mm.
And he technically brought his movie into ours. And I love that technically I love that that was the entire plot and theme of the whole movie. And especially with him breaking the fourth wall, it's like for people who don't know, like we know, that this movie took so long to be made, at least the right way.
Mhm.
Um, I feel like, the movie has its own subtle ways of telling you this story of how this movie also came to be. Because also like literally the Fox movies probably will die out slowly. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of movies from the Fox universe that we might never watch again. I know I'm never touching Origins. If that shit comes up on anything, I'm thumbsing it down, get it
Boo.
off my streaming. I hate Origins. Ooh.
Clearly.
Anyway, hate it. Hate it. Because I read the comic and it's like just it's nowhere close. It's one of my favorite comics. Um but I do love that overall, like the movie is about like, okay, we're gonna bring you into the MCU, but we're not gonna bring anything else, just you. And like I love that Deadpool is like, nah, you're gonna also bring these characters, and these characters, people love them. This one didn't test well. We love this guy, and
This guy did get a
and
chance.
Yeah.
right. This guy didn't get a chance. So I do love that I love that that's what the plot is, because I
Mhm.
wasn't sure what the overall plot would be of the movie, because I was like, how do you get all these things to work together? How do you bring Wolverine back? you know um but I do love the whole like Wolverine is what is it being, because I'm
An
used to saying Nexus
Anchor.
being,
anchor
because
being
right, because for those of you that haven't seen
One Division,
what is it,
One Division,
Loki.
and Loki.
Yeah, in Loki, there's a Nexus being, which is like a being that exists infinitely. Um, but you said this. I keep forgetting what it's
Anchor.
called in this one.
Anchor.
Anchor.
Anchor being, anchor being. Yeah, and I like the whole idea of the anchor beings, and that there, needs to be one, and that the whole point was to, okay, if I can bring an anchor being back into this world, maybe we can save the franchise. And technically, you did, because Marvel movies have been trash. The past three Marvel movies and shows have pissed me the f
Oh yeah.
off.
Except for
So I'm
Guardians.
very thankful, except for Guardians. Guardians
Guardians
3
3.
was, but no, it pissed me off because it didn't need to be that sad. I would never watch that movie again. I would never watch that movie again.
Points were
I
made.
watched it twice,
Points were
and the
made.
second time I watched it at home, and I just skipped to all the good parts. And even then, I was still sad. I
Fair.
was like, I'm never doing this again. Fuck this. I didn't come here for animal cruelty. Um, but yeah, great movie. Just hate them for it. But
Like bring
yeah,
back the fun
Ant-Man
again. I want to be
trash.
excited. Like
Right. That's why I love that this
I
movie
am
is
Groot.
actually fun and exciting again. Right. Like we haven't had just a fun, exciting Marvel release in a while that was actually good. Like I
Yeah.
feel like they tried to do that with Ant-Man. But Ant-Man was like, it just didn't. You
Mm-mm.
know what I'm saying? Like I thought that was gonna be my fun
Dang.
release. Thor Love and Thunder, trash. Like it was okay,
So sad.
but even that, I didn't actually have fun. I was sad in that movie too. I was like, how am I sad and nothing happened?
Yeah.
So this was like balanced, and I appreciate that.
which is
The
interesting you
plot
say
of the movie
about
is,
sad,
let's bring someone who can save the MCU
which
and our timeline into it,
which is funny because again, one of my nitpicks was, what makes him the worst Wolverine. You start thinking, is he the worst because of just he's just a terrible Wolverine, but you start to realize that his worst is because, and we don't really get into it, but his worst is that his actions or inactions led to a whole bunch of people
Everybody having
dying and loss of everyone. And
them.
he's the worst for him because he wasn't a hero. He didn't take up with that mantle. He even talks about why he wears the costume, because he's trying to embrace that hero, because they're both trying to be heroes, right? Where Wade is actively seeking it, Logan ran away from it, and it caused problems. That whole great power, great responsibility thing. He
Hmm.
didn't follow suit with that, and he lost everything because of it. That's what made him the worst. You will never you were supposed to be a hero, and you never became that hero. And
Hmm.
not necessarily because some people nitpick.
because
It's
you were
like he's
drunk.
exactly some people have nitpicked and said, "Oh, Wolverine's the worst. He's still pretty good at doing stuff." Like, yeah, he's good. That's why he's the worst because he's good at
Right.
it and
Yep.
chose not to
It's
do
the
it.
same as when your teacher is like, so much talent, too bad you wasted, you know?
Exactly,
It's
exactly,
literally one of those. It's like you have all
literally,
these powers and all these talents, but you spend your days chugging bottles of whiskey,
right?
to the face.
Because
Yeah.
you're first you're
Close
thinking
to
that
home.
because you realize that his mistake in his universe is he
Same
didn't
here.
show up when it counted. He didn't show up and people died because of him. And that's why he's trying to it's kind of his penance, wearing this costume the whole time. Though I feel like you're wearing that costume underneath that, you must be hot. But whatever, I guess he's
Just,
Logan. He doesn't get hot.
just
He's drunk. It's fine. He doesn't notice.
But these two main characters, Andrew, you touched on it, like a buddy cop comedy. I don't want to go more into that in terms of their dynamics, right? That's one of the things we wanted these two characters together. It's because of their dynamics and that kind of opposite. As much as they're similar in terms of their fighting and their healing factor and things like that, personality-wise, they're very much different. How do you think that worked to bring these two characters together?
um, it worked excellently. First of all, us getting to see Deadpool go through the variant of Wolverine. Shout out Henry Cable.
The
Right?
cavalry.
Yeah, it
Oh,
was.
come on.
I think we
The fan
screamed.
service is
We
too
screamed
much.
for sure. Yeah, in the cinema, we definitely screamed. And
I needed to change my panties. My God.
didn't we all?
Too much.
Didn't we all? And so yeah,
Right.
I enjoyed that, and just yeah, again, the whole movie was him just going through like a couple who was outside of the honeymoon phase, just hated each other's guts, but working their way back towards love, almost in a sense, right? But it was just so good to see. I think I'm going in whatever order because one of my favorite scene, or one of my favorite scenes, was when they woke up after fighting in the car and Wolverine had tied him with the car with the seat belt, right? It was just like a perfect analogy to what was going on between them. Like seeing two, opposite healing factor mutants going against each other and not having the same morals, but kind of just failing in the same direction, almost. It was. I think it was just a really nice way to see Wolverine because again, like I mentioned. Compared to Logan, Logan was the Wolverine, right? End of life body, but doing his all to uphold his values. And most Wolverines we've seen, whereas this is kind of the opposite, like Wolverine who literally doesn't give a and a Deadpool who is trying. It's weird that Deadpool is the one motivating Wolverine to save the world. Is my point, as opposed to the opposite, right? So
Hmm.
I really like that. I thought that was kind of fresh, right? It was a different way to see these characters, right? And yeah, I enjoyed every single every single thing they did together. Even when they did the little like fake outs and Wolverine stabbed what is Charles's sister's name? Why do I keep forgetting?
Cassandra.
Cassandra, thank you. Right? Who again? Sorry, by the way, love her. I hope she comes back in more things. Right?
Amazing
Just
villain.
she,
She's good.
yeah, she aced it because when Wolverine stabbed her, and she was like, no, like, don't be stupid.
Why
And
are you like this?
then-
I don't know.
Actually,
It's so
so
good.
good.
Actually, I want to go further into that. I think Emma Corrin did a fantastic job of that character because I think for such a small moment, it's not really about her. It's not a movie
Mhm.
that goes deep into the villain's motivation. You need to have
Yeah,
something that's quick and moving. There's no redemption story for the villain. It's like nope, you
yeah.
have to get in there. I like the introduction to her, the subversion of thinking it's Charles, and then when she
Hmm.
stands up, Deadpool's like, wait, you have an Xavier who isn't in the wheelchair? Oh, the woke mob aren't gonna like this. and and so Raven, I want to go into like as a villain, in terms of villains amongst villains. What did you think of Cassandra Nova?
Honestly, I think Cassandra's one of the best villains we've gotten in a long time. Like she's definitely in my top 5, maybe top 3 MCU villains simply because I think sometimes there are some villains that look the part but don't scare me.
Okay,
Like for
yeah.
example, like Ronan was trash. Ronan is just a guy, just a blue guy with a fucking bitch fit.
Accusing
You know what I'm
everybody.
saying? Like
And
it
a
was like,
big stick.
wah, you just
Yeah.
whiny. Right, right. There's certain characters that you're like, eh. Whereas like Cassandra actually scared me. You know what I'm saying? Like just because like throughout the movie, we don't see any limitation to her powers. you know. So in terms of like what she does throughout every scene, we're just learning a different thing she can do.
Hmm.
You know, and technically we didn't really see her get stopped other than having the Juggernaut's helmet on. You know, apparently, like if her mind is free to do what it wants, she can do almost anything.
And even then, she didn't care.
Even
Kill me, fine.
including getting out of the void.
Yeah.
Would you say?
I'm saying even with the helmet on and being made weaker, she's like, I don't care, kill me, whatever.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
right.
Why are you like this?
What I liked about this story as well is, as much as it was a multiverse story, it wasn't about traversing the multiverse. It was about being in the nexus point or the void where all the multiverse stuff comes to. Right, as opposed to going to other places, everything comes here, and it
Yeah.
opened the door. And it's opened the door from like background stuff, like so many things, background stuff, background characters, items, and things like that. Even if you haven't seen Loki, you still understand that the void is the place where all the multiverse trash just goes to.
I like that it's like the trash bin.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like on a laptop, like you got 30 days and it deletes completely. But I never thought of the void in that way. I
Yeah,
thought people got pruned and just disappeared from existence.
exactly.
I like that this movie showed us that the void is an actual place.
Mhm.
Like where
Mhm.
people go when they get pruned is a place. I
Mhm.
just assumed it was like you're off every timeline and you cease to exist,
Yep,
period.
yep.
So I did like that, you know, when people get pruned that they go to a destination
Yeah.
altogether. And yeah, with Cassandra, I'm interested to see her. I don't think that this is the last we've seen of her
I
at
hope
all
not.
in the MCU. I think that she's going to become a bigger villain, possibly. I also think the graphics were insane with her powers. They
Mhm.
killed
Top
that shit,
notch.
but also absolutely disgusting.
So
Like,
disgusting.
I had to Google her hands because I was like, do her hands actually look like that in real life? Because,
No,
you
they
know,
were
her fingers
longer.
are so like
Yeah,
elongated
yeah.
and nasty. Like, it started making me nauseous. I was like, I need to know if this girl actually has these hands. She doesn't, by the way.
But it's so
But
subtle.
yeah,
It's
and just a visual, like the way people's eyes would
oh,
pop, it was so nasty. And then she grabbed
oh,
Paradox
paradox. Just oh,
by the inside of his forehead. It was
like how did your
so
brain? Is it like a
nasty.
brain freeze? That's how it feels
That's what
inside of
I'm
you.
saying. Like, what does it
Yeah.
feel like? Is it a migraine? And the dude was like, "Can you just fucking ask? Just ask.
Yes.
You don't have to do the thing."
And
So
but
nasty.
that's what I like about her. You know, just as a physical presence, she isn't really. It's not about her physicality in the sense of just a picture of her isn't what makes her scary. It's her acting, it's her performance. You know, it's the way she moves. It's the subtle things, like you said, like
Right.
giving the extra long fingers. You know, just the subtle things that kind of make the whole weird and
Yeah.
creepy. And just the idea
Because
that
I honestly think, sorry, if anybody else would have played her, I don't think it would have
no,
been like I don't think she would have been as impactful as a character if this
Agreed.
actress didn't take it into her own. Because
Mhm.
Cassandra could have very easily been a throwaway villain that we never
Yep.
think about again.
mm-mm.
You know, so I did this actress. She went all out. She was like wicked. You know, like every like
Mhm.
I don't know facial expression, every like it was just so sinister and like manipulative.
But doesn't
Mhm.
overplay
You
it.
know,
You
Not
know,
at
she's
all.
not like
no,
"Mwah, ha, ha,
no,
ha, ha, ha." You know, it's not like
right.
it's not
To where like I almost want to sit and hang out with her. She's
right.
kind of charming. You know what I'm saying? You're like if you're on her friend's side, she might be
Yeah,
fun.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
But then even then, she might switch on you for just I don't know. She just might pull your skin off. Yeah.
just ask.
And I did like the fact that
Seriously.
unlike Charles, she can't do mind stuff. She has to physically touch you, which is like she doesn't
No,
have to go in your
nasty.
head. She just has to touch you. But no, she has to take it a step further by sticking the fingers right into your head. Just
Like
hold my
literally.
hand, like.
Yeah.
I have to get my hands dirty. Like, ooh.
Which again, I do like a
You know
villain,
she doesn't wash those
right?
hands.
Ugh.
Gross.
I do like the fact that she's a villain
This thing is
that also does like to get hands dirty. She's not just sending. She'll send lackeys just to things that are further away, just because she can't be bothered. But it's
right.
not like she makes a lackey do the dirty job, right? She'll do the dirty stuff. She doesn't
Also,
care.
because her lucky sucked. Sorry, that was a random nitpick. Like Sabretooth died after 5 seconds. Juggernaut just seemed like he was confused. Like that was just a small thing. Her luckies were terrible.
Yeah.
But
This,
I guess
Right.
that's
Trash.
why they were here, right? So
yeah,
I allowed it. It was just like
she just uses them to collect stuff.
yeah.
She doesn't need them for anything else. Let's talk cameos. This movie does a fantastic job of
So many
not doing
cameos.
cameos just for the sake of doing it, but also creating an emotional narrative through that. Right. And I think let's talk about the main cameos and go back and forth with that. Andrew, who's your favorite cameo?
Chris Evans. It
So good.
threw me off.
So good.
It threw me for a loop.
He's
I
gonna say
never
it.
thought I'd see
He's
He's
gonna
gonna
say
say
it.
say
it.
it. Flame on. It's like, what?
What the shit?
No, you did not.
It's
And
so
he
good.
was so useless. But yeah, and even the end credit scene with him, I'm a big fan of villain Chris Evans, right? Like what
Love Villain
Knives
Chris
Out,
Evans.
Gray Man, Scott Pilgrim Against the World. Chris Evans as a
True.
villain, despite Captain America, I love evil him. So just him shit talking to and just being useless. And
And you
yeah.
can quote me on that.
Do
And
you
he
have the
did.
quote written?
uh,
I was trying to write it down. I meant to get it, but I forgot. We got to put the quote at the end of this whole thing, like when the podcast is over,
That's
especially
how
in the
we end.
audio podcast. You just got to end it with Chris Evans' speech.
you know,
But yeah,
I can't even remember. It was so dirty.
fun fact. Fun fact. Um, Chris Evans. One of the reasons why he did this movie, when he read that script, he's like, "Nope, you have to keep that in the movie, the end credit clip. You know, of him just going in. Actually, I have it here somewhere. Oh, here it is. I have it. It is in the void. You either food for life or you work for her. And I'll tell you what, her is Cassandra Nova, a megalomaniac, psychotic asshole, a finger-licking, dead-inside pixie slab of a third-rate dime store nut milk. And I'll tell you what she said. And Dad was like, "I'm listening. She can lick my goddamn cinnamon ring clean and kick rocks all the way to bald hell. In fact, I don't give a shit if she removes all my skin and pops me up so like some nightmarish blood balloon. If the last thing I do in this godforsaken cum gutter existence is light the fucking box on fire, I still won't die happy." Holy shit, girl, you crazy. That's right, Wade. I won't be happy until I've urinated on her freshly barbecued corpse and husked the charred remains while gargling juggernauts.
juggernauts. You have to say it right. It's juggernauts,
Juggernauts.
Juggernauts.
With a Boston accent. I was like,
Oh
this
my
is
god.
great.
And you could
This is
quote me
great.
on that.
You can quote me on it. He
That
said, and
was
that's a quote.
And I love Deadpool's like, really? Go on.
Go on.
That was yeah.
And you can
So
quote
good.
me on that. He said, what? He said, no,
So
but
good.
him getting blown up was crazy. Because
Oh my
technically
god.
she did exactly what he said. She said, I don't care if
It's
what
just-
is
yeah.
skinless, blow me
Rip
up
my
like a
skin.
blood balloon.
I was like,
She
oh.
sure did.
Precisely what
I
she
was like,
did.
oh shit. And you know,
I was dying though in the theater. I was like, I had to clutch my chest. I was laughing so hard in that part. That shit
and
fucked me
it's
up.
it's funny because watching it my second time, because the first time I was like, because when Wade is quoting him, Logan is just like, "Shut up! What are you talking about? Well, shut up!" And I thought, oh, like everyone else thought, Wade, what the hell
Right.
did you do? But watching it
He's
again with
lying.
context, Logan never says he didn't say that. He just says, "Shut up." He never actually says, "No, he
It's
didn't
a
say
lie.
that. He didn't.
Yeah.
It's a lie." He never says any of that. He just says, "Shut up. Stop
Like,
talking."
why would you tell her those words that are terrible?
Right. When you look back, he's like, why would you say what he said?
Yeah.
Because at the time we really thought like, oh,
He
he's
was
trying to
making
keep
it up.
him from getting
Right.
zero.
I
No,
loved it.
that was great.
And again, that was a great setup because the way he's wearing the hood, the costume, he's got the blue. We're all thinking it's Captain America. But what's also good about that is there's hints before it's revealed that he's not Cap, because as he's talking, he starts cursing, and Wade's looking at him like, "What? Cap doesn't curse," like. And then he's like, he's gonna say it and flame on. I'm like, "Oh, you bastards, you guys
That was
all."
the
Flame on was fucking
funniest thing
funny.
ever.
That's great.
Raven, there were other cameos. Who are your favorite cameo?
I love the Sabretooth reveal because I fucking hate the OG Sabretooth
Tyler
from
Mane.
the X-Men we grew up with. So the second he came on screen, I started dying laughing because I was like, I know this is gonna end ridiculously. So I absolutely love how Wolverine immediately just decapitated him.
It's not even a fight.
So fast.
And it was like, yeah, because this Sabretooth is ass, bro. Like,
I mean, fair
this man
enough.
can't fight. He's just costume. He's all costume. And that's what I hated. Like I rewatched X-Men recently, like probably like within the past year. And that was one of my biggest takeaways from it. I was like, was Sabretooth always this whack?
It was the
Because I'm like, yo, I
bodyguard.
remember seeing the movie and like I thought he did something, but now I'm rewatching it again. I'm like, this man literally just stands in a costume all movie and does every once in a blue moon and makes a face. I was like, what a waste of a Sabretooth costume. And I love that in this movie, same costume, same guy, dies immediately. I was like, yeah, because he's trash. All he did the whole fucking movie is bounce. So I did love him being immediately taken out. I also absolutely loved Wolverine's fight style. We never get to see
on
Wolverine
all
fight
fours.
like a Wolverine. So
Mhm.
the whole movie, I was very pleased with that. Toad, fucking hilarious. Pyro,
Pyro. Pyro threw me off. Yeah.
Pyro. I
I like
absolutely
Pyro.
love the Mad Max references because oh my god. And he said, "Here's your queen, Furious."
Leviosa.
What's funny about that is that before that, he's just like,
Oh, man.
this feels like some kind of movie, but we can't say it because of royalty rights or something like that. And then he goes out and
And then
says
you
it.
said,
And it's spot on, very obviously just Mad Max.
oh, so
Same
good.
fucking cars and everything. I was like, nah, this is
It would have
amazing.
been funny if it was Chris
Have your
Hemsworth
queen,
as
Furiosa.
if Chris Hemsworth was
Amazing.
Sabretooth in that scene, it would have been hilarious because of Mad Max.
Yeah, that would have been so sick. Mephisto. Mephisto. Was that
No,
Mephisto?
that's
Or was
that's
that
That's the
Azazel.
guy
Sinestro?
No,
from
that's
First
Azazel
Class.
from first.
Azazel.
Yeah,
From
Okay.
First
Okay.
Class.
yeah, from first class. Azazel.
Azazel.
But come on,
He's gone. I
the
was like,
best
oh,
cameo for me has to be
what?
Gambit. He's just like, "Ooh,
Definitely.
I'm about to make a name for
Oh, I
Is
was
that
myself."
getting there. He's further down my list.
is that a cameo or
But
like a
yeah,
new
Electra
introduction?
Blade Gambit reveal was fire. Cause you see Electra first, and like
Yes,
I honestly I loved
didn't
Electra when I was
expect it.
Same,
younger. When it came
Didn't
out, I
expect it.
same,
genuinely loved Electra.
same.
She's a
That
good
was
Electra.
one not
Mhm,
spoiled at all. Spoiler like
I didn't get
no
spoiled.
one spoiled that, and I
mhm.
appreciated that. I didn't know shit about Jennifer.
Garner.
What's her last name?
Garner.
Jennifer Garner. Okay,
Hmm.
there's so many Jennifers. But yeah, Jennifer
Facts.
Garner.
Daredevil's dead. I'm sorry. It's
I
okay.
was like, you never even saw her like in a behind the scenes, nothing. You know what I'm saying? So her being in there was a super like what for me. I yeah, and honestly, she looks good.
She did a
Amazing.
lot of
Like,
training. Lots of training.
it looks like the original election was like 3 weeks ago. I was like, yo, this is crazy. It's been what, like 20 years,
Yeah, it's
15 at
probably about.
least.
Shut up.
And honestly, I feel like if you bring Electra back, I don't want nobody else. Bring Jennifer Garner back. She's the Electra. Uh, Blade, come
Another
on. I will say
unexpected,
though,
very unexpected.
did it happen for y'all where it was like slightly like weird or uncomfortable seeing Blade be that tiny?
Again, we're
Like, I
old
don't know.
because we're old because he's
Blade
old.
was always like this, big, like smooth, like swag. He looked a little fragile. It was weird for me seeing like
He's an old man.
Wesley Snipes as a fragile old man. I was like, "Ooh," like it made me a little like inside.
It's because
Not
you're
for any
old.
reason, but it just made me realize how old I
Yep.
am. Cause I was like,
Yeah.
this was a fucking man when I was a kid. You know what I'm saying? Like this dude was like 6'5". And he was like buff and big, and he was looking down at all you hoes, and he always had the greatest one liner ever.
Some motherfuckers
You know
are
what I'm
still trying to
saying?
skate uphill.
Right, but and I
That's a
love
great
that like he
line.
got to just have his random one-liners in this movie too. Like throughout, he would you say retarded?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so
He
sick.
said, "What'd you say? You said I'm retarded." He was like, "Oh God, you're trying to get me canceled." It was so good. But yeah, I love seeing Wesley Snipes. It's crazy to me how much smaller he is now, but we'll allow it.
But
I
I
was like, it's
appreciate
fine.
that he brought it in.
He said,
He
"There's only ever been one blade." I
yeah,
was like,
Yeah, that's right.
"Yeah."
Which was
because
There's
like
ahead.
only ever been one blade.
I feel like other actors in his position would have just phoned it in, just whatever he needed to do. But he, as much as he doesn't
He
look the
committed.
same,
He
he
was doing his
committed.
little action roles. He was doing a slow
Hmm.
punch.
I
Hmm.
appreciated
I
that.
see it.
You know,
And then and then Gambit. Come on, I think other than Human Torch, Gambit was probably I would say
Yeah,
Human
shocking.
Torch, Gambit, and Cavill Wolverine are the top three like
Mhm.
moment in terms of like I guess Easter egg
Shock.
people.
Yeah.
like y'all
Yeah,
die.
but like Gambit, and it was funny too because I'm sure it happened to y'all too. And Gambit was revealed. You're like, oh, it's gonna be Gambit, it's gonna be Gambit, and then you saw that it was Channing
It's
Tatum.
him.
It's like, oh God. And it's funny because I don't know. I think I was disappointed along with Deadpool. But it only took about a minute and a half before I was like, nah, this is gonna be great. I love this. This is great. This is fucking best Gambit ever. I need you to have your own movie. Said right when I shout out my dad's sperm, my dad's ball sack.
I was born ready.
Who is your dialect coach?
That is oddly
The minions.
graphic. I feel like we're missing so much exposition here, guys.
Oh my goodness.
But actually,
I
no,
feel like we're missing major
That's
exposition. Who
so
is your vocal coach?
what I liked about the Gambit cameo is again, it's one of those things that it's more like an inside joke because like Ryan Reynolds and Deadpool, unfortunately on his side, unfortunately, it's the opposite. Where Channing Tatum has been trying for decades, or like at least a decade, to try and
Mm-hmm.
get a Gambit movie made, for such a long time, and authentic because he has family from that era,
hmm
that area, the Cajun
Mm.
Bayou
the
style,
Bayou.
he can do the accent properly. He was
Mhm.
exaggerating, of course, for fun,
But
but he can
yeah.
do it properly. He's of that a lineage in real life. So he's always wanted to pay
Right.
homage to the character. So even moments where he's just
That
like,
was fan service
all
for
right,
sure.
100%. And even
100%.
moments where he's just like, I know, you know, I don't know where I was born. I must have been born here, because the idea he'd never had a movie, so he doesn't have a universe. You know, things like that.
And I love that. I was like,
Like,
oh,
yeah.
Channing.
But who is about to make a name for himself? And I think what's
That's the
also,
best quote.
I love that line. You know, you better tell everyone what happened here. Yeah, and I think also that this year since X-Men '97, you know, we've going through a Gambit
Exactly.
renaissance. You know, like between X-Men '97 and this, like that Gambit love is continuing, and I like that
Hmm.
the movie ends with Wade telling the TVA like, "Can you save those other people?" You know, so those members are back. In some case, they're not dead, right? They're not gone. They got saved. We don't know how or when we'll see them again, but it's hinting that we might see them again. I'm hoping for a Gambit movie. Obviously, this one is played more for fun in certain ways, but I think
But
you can do a Gambit
He
movie.
killed that.
okay, quick question on that. Is it true? Was Gambit in the end credits on one of the TVA screens?
Yeah, on the screens you see him walking through in the
Like
background.
he technically really didn't die there.
No, and they don't. Again, it's alluded that none of them actually die because when
Yeah, I
part of
don't
the
think
No,
deal,
but
Electro or
see,
Blade died either.
yeah,
yeah,
but like him, we actually see
yeah,
like there's a pic of I
because the
feel like
thing.
it's testing for them, and they're
Ugh,
like, all right, we're gonna make a
why is
movie
Thor
now.
crying?
Fun
Why?
fact: the director initially, a lot of the movie before, again, this is before it was going to be a Deadpool and Wolverine movie because it was Deadpool 3. They didn't know if they're going to
Yeah,
bring Hugh Jackman back. Part of the story was it was going to be the first act was going to be scene for scene copying Thor Ragnarok, Thor uh, uh the what's the bad Thor the Dark
Love
World.
and Thunder. Oh,
No,
Oof,
what's a bad Thor? I
no,
mean, take your
the,
oof.
pick. So I'm kidding. I'm
the
kidding.
dark Thor
We
the
got
Dark
one
Thor.
good one.
The
I think
second one.
Thor the Dark Thor, and it was going to mimic that, and that's the scene where Loki dies. But also the director is like, we don't know what we're going to do with this scene. We're going to leave that to Kevin Feige. That's his problem to figure out. And I kind of like
Right.
that. Like,
I guess like I
it's,
got you.
we're going to see it. It's just you're going to see it in you. It's like that happens a long, long, long time ago in the future. You know, just giving them opening for that. But I thought the cameos were done really well again because then also they're there to push the narrative forward, right? They're not just there and you're gone. You take them out of the story, it changes the story, right? It doesn't. It's not one. You know, a lot of cameos in movies. You take them out, the movie still keeps moving, right? I feel
Hmm.
like this actually is needed in the film, and also we get a lot of cameos. We're going to talk to you about this. We get a lot of cameos from Wolverine variants, the different types of Wolverines throughout the
Oh,
comics. We get the comic accurate short king. You know, one people.
I was gonna say that was hands down, bar none, my
No,
favorite
that kid
comic
was
accurate
he literally
Wolverine.
he literally he jumped
Oh,
off the stool and was like, "Hey, I'm ready." Why, why
seriously,
are you so
he's a.
good? Oh man, that was
That
so
was so
good.
good because I loved it because it reminded me of I don't know if y'all have seen Sonic, the Sonic the Hedgehog movie, but
Yes,
there's a
yes.
moment with
Both of them.
Ugly
Mhm.
Sonic. Oh no, I'm lying. It's
It was a different movie.
Chippendale.
Yeah, Chippendale.
Correct,
Yeah,
Chippendale
correct.
has Ugly Sonic in
As
it,
the
great.
villain.
and that was one of my favorite like
Also a
reveals
great
ever.
movie. Oh my gosh.
Hilarious. If y'all have not seen Chippendale,
So
please see
good.
Chippendale.
Yeah,
So good.
David
The
told me
new
to
one's
watch that. I
amazing.
remember.
Oh, so good.
So
Dave told
worth
me
it.
to watch it, and I was like,
It's
yeah,
so
whatever. I
worth it.
wasn't really thinking about it. He was like, no, it's good. And I watched it. I was like, oh, this is insane.
Yeah.
But it reminded me of Ugly Sonic, like where it's like something's just not right. But the thing I do love, for those of y'all that haven't been forever fans and that are listening, some fans were really mad when Hugh Jackman first
I was one of
was,
them.
granted the role. Dave was one of them too. Where Hugh Jackman was first cast as Wolverine in the first X-Men movie. There was a lot of backlash from fans. A lot of people were really mad just for the simple fact that Hugh Jackman is what, like 6'3",
Yep.
6'4".
He's not stocky
At
and
bare
short.
minimum, he's
The
over
hell?
6 foot.
The hell?
Wolverine is tall, buff, lean. Whereas technically in the comic books, Wolverine is described as being a 5'2", super hairy, super stocky, kind of big, wide dude. So it infuriated a lot of fans because they're like, how are you going to have this tall, you know, kind of,
Hunk of
and also
man.
he's a Broadway actor. He's a
Yeah,
Broadway
he's a
actor also.
sing and
Well,
dance.
not Broadway. What's the
He was
equivalent?
he
We
was
still
like,
say Broadway
yeah,
in
he was
English?
Hmm.
he was a musical song and dance guy.
Right.
Yeah,
He did musicals at the time. So he sings, he dances, he does like sweet shit,
that's not
and he's a
Wolverine.
sweet guy. People know him to be a nice guy. So he's supposed to play this angry little, ferocious being, and people were really scared in the beginning. But after everyone saw the first X-Men,
20 years
we were like,
later.
this is the GOAT. We love Wolverine, whatever. And we've all loved him since. But I think this is a great moment for all the people that do remember complaining about the original Wolverine, because technically this is what he would have looked like. For all of
Yeah.
y'all that are upset, tell me if this makes sense. You know what I'm saying? You scared of this guy? Does this make sense to you? You know, you happy now? This is your king.
Oh,
So
this
I
is your
loved
king.
comic accurate Wolverine, and I also loved, obviously when he saw Henry Cavill and he's like, "We would treat you so much better than those shit fucks down the street."
I love that.
I
Oh
was
my
like, "You're
gosh,
right. Leave
you are right.
DC, Henry."
What
But yeah,
I think
what were the other ones?
especially because Ryan Reynolds, right? Green Lantern, now
Mm.
Deadpool. It's like the,
Come on,
the themes are just too
the
much.
water's fine.
And what's good about the Cavalry one is that there was lots of rumors going around that Henry Cavill was going to be the MCU Wolverine, right? I think Marvel have done a great job of giving us fans what we've wanted, but in a teasy way. Like John Krasinski as Mister
Mr.
Fantastic,
Fantastic. Yep.
killed straight away.
I'm mad he's not the real Mr.
Like
Fantastic. He was so good.
those little moments. Mom was like, "I know you want it. I'm gonna give it to you, but just a little fun thing."
Yeah, just a little
Right,
bit.
here's a photo.
We hear
Here's
you.
3 seconds for you. Now
We
shut the
hear
fuck
you.
up and get in the
Yeah.
back.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Shut up, sit down, enjoy the rest of the movie. I gave you 3 seconds. Now
Yeah,
leave
there
us
you go.
alone.
And
Yeah.
I even like the Mission Impossible reference with the reloading the arms like vroom, vroom, and then making it the claws. I thought that was really really nicely well done. I like the fact that as much as excited we got for the costume, and oh my god, I went crazy when he puts the cowl on. Oh, I didn't expect the cowl. I knew we were gonna get
Mhm.
the
The
costume,
cow was too much.
but I
I was like, just take all my clothes.
I
God.
wasn't ready for the cowl, but I did also like that we get Wolverine in other costumes. We get the brown costume, right? That he wears when he's Wolverine versus Hulk, and I
Yeah.
love the Hulk
I
The
cameo.
love that because he popped up in the
Hulk
scene.
cameo. I was about to mention that.
Right.
And
And it's funny because my wife didn't know about the Wolverine and Hulk comics.
okay,
And she was like, wait,
And animation.
Wolverine and Hulk
Mhm.
fight? I was like, baby, this epic.
There's an
It's
animation about it.
epic. When
yeah,
they
there's an
fight,
animation.
oh,
Hmm.
yeah, it's a good animation. It's only like 30 minutes. I
Yeah,
Yeah,
watched
it's
it on
but
nice,
it's
short,
a
Netflix.
good 30 minutes.
short and sweet.
So good.
Yep.
And I like
Those
that.
of y'all that are listening, watch it.
Definitely,
Fire.
it's on Disney Plus, and I did like the kind of Loki reference in that moment. He's like, "I am Marvel Jesus, you vile creature, now not be," and he gets knocked out, kind of like Loki when he got smashed by Hulk. I
Oh,
thought that was a
mhm.
nice touch, and then we also get
Yeah.
the real Days of Future Past Wolverine, from the comics and the cartoon with the missing arm. I thought that was a nice touch with the crazy hair.
Yes.
It
And
was a
then
nice little touch.
Wolverine strung
I
up
meant to go
like a
back and
beach.
look at all the Wolverines. I
Yeah,
meant to look up a list of all the Wolverines, and I never got around
and
to it.
all
I'm
of them
like, there's definitely ones that I noticed, like looking at, and then there's others I was like, wait, I know this one.
all comic accurate, and I thought that was a great job. I think Hugh Jackman definitely had fun being every version of Wolverine, at least most versions. We even get an old man Logan Wolverine, right? Which is a great comic story to read.
He
Mhm.
did when he came and approached him on the porch.
Yeah.
He shot him.
Again, so like it's I think
So
it's very
this
rare.
guy.
It's very rare for actors to get to play various versions of a comic character, right? Because throughout the
Mhm.
decades, they've been different versions, different takes, and this was like here, all of them in one go. And again, it made sense for the story. It wasn't forced. It wasn't just like here you go, cameo, cameo, cameo. It's like he's looking for a Wolverine, so he's gonna be going through the multiverse to find the different Wolverines.
Mhm.
Andrew, you talked about
Hugh Jackman deserves. Sorry.
no, no,
No, I was just gonna
go.
say Hugh Jackman deserves a lifetime achievement award for
Yep.
how well he's played Wolverine
In
for how long.
different movies
What
too.
other actor has
Mhm.
been the same
Different
character
types
in
of
what
movies, PG movies,
10
PG
other
13,
movies?
R rated, doesn't matter. He gives
Mhm.
you
Every
every
different
version.
version, and he's killed it without zero
Each
complaints. And he
time,
should have won an
honestly.
Oscar. Should have won an Oscar for Logan, to be honest. Still to this day, he was snubbed on that one, but
That
whatever.
that sequence, I think this movie, as much as fun as it is, gave us acting, like
The
acting
sequence in the
in the
car,
car. Oh my god!
woo,
Like I
Yeah.
was just
Yeah.
reminded me of the Doctor Strange. You care so much,
right,
like that. It reminded me of
right.
that moment
Mhm.
where it's like all of Doctor Strange is fun, but you have that moment where you're like, damn, that actor's
Yes.
acting.
It's like
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
you need to bring all that. I mean, no one's expecting.
Or
You can
yeah.
imagine,
Right. I was like, ow, you didn't have to say all that. My feelings is hurt. I'm not
right?
even Deadpool.
Even Deadpool, even
Ouch.
Deadpool couldn't say anything. He was just like, "I'm gonna fight you
He
now."
said, you
Yeah,
can't keep a
that
relationship
was the
going with
best
a
Deadpool.
stripper.
Oh my
I was
gosh.
like, damn. He
I,
said, okay, we're going to fight now.
I'm gonna
I
I'm
was
gonna
like,
fight you now. Like fuck this.
You know what?
oh.
You know what? You're a fucking jerk. No wonder the Avengers didn't take you in, or the X Men, and they'll fucking take anyone.
And they'll take anyone. I was like, damn.
I mean, you're a ridiculous, immature, half-wit moron. I have never met a sadder, more attention-starved, jabbering little prick in my entire life. and that says a lot because I've been alive for more than 200 years. And I tell you, that bald chick was right about one thing: you will never
Oh
save the
my
world. You could even save a relationship with a goddamn stripper, motherfucker.
Whoo!
I wish I could say you will die alone, but it's one of God's best jokes that you can't die, except it's on
That
all
you
of us.
can't
You got
die.
nothing to say, huh? You got nothing to say.
Yeah, mouth. It's
Mouth.
like,
god. Yeah, mouth. Oh my
damn.
gosh.
I was
I'm
like,
gonna
That
Google
man,
OC
that.
was so good. Because in my head, I was like, I was wondering if we was gonna see
oh,
some Hugh Jackman
oh,
acting in this.
oh, like he punches the
Very
when he
pleased.
punches the
Thank
ceiling.
you. Right.
That
And
ceiling
then
punch.
I was
Yeah.
like,
I was
yo,
like,
where does this man store all this anger when he's not,
right?
Because everybody I know that ever met Hugh Jackman in real life is like, he is the sweetest, kindest, nicest guy ever. One of my friends used to teach at a school that his kids went to. And she said that he knew everybody in the staff's names, even the custodians. Hey, how you doing, Bob? Whatever, whatever. Makes no sense when you pair it with this scene. You're like, same guy? He's so
Apparently.
angry.
Like, how do you make dead? How do you make
Amazing
Wade
actor.
upset
Like,
like
give
that?
him all his flowers. Give him
Right,
everything.
right.
Just
And
come on.
I loved that scene, Andrew, in the car, because I think what I was reading this thing that someone said that they didn't like the fight scenes between Deadpool and Logan because they both have extreme healing powers and there's no stakes. And I was like, no,
Yeah.
you don't.
There
Clearly
are
don't have
stakes.
Yeah.
siblings. Because for me, because that's what it
Exactly.
felt. It felt like brothers fighting to the point where they fought so hard they fell asleep. I've definitely been there with my
And
brother.
one
That's
was
happened to me a
tied
few
up.
times. My cousins and I, right? Somebody holding you like this,
Yeah,
getting you
just
to
like
stop, got you in a headlock.
Like just because you
pass
can't
out.
hurt each other fully, it doesn't mean you're not fighting. You're still fighting. And I think it was great to see. This is almost one of the Wolverines we've seen fully, like you said, Andrew, physically in his prime,
Oh,
right? Because the
yeah,
healing factor was quick. He's
it
getting
was working.
stabbed,
It's
walking with
working.
swords in his stomach.
Once he stopped drinking, it was on.
Like right, like seeing him crawling on all fours. Raven, I want to say, go to you first. What do you think of the fight scenes? Because you can't do a Deadpool Wolverine movie without fight scenes.
Obviously,
This is
I
what
was
we've been
actually just
waiting for.
waiting.
Literally, he says,
I
"This is
was
what we've
like,
been waiting for. Let's get to it." What do you think of the fight
this is
scenes?
what
Which
they've
was your
been waiting
favorite fight?
for. So out of the fight scenes, my favorite fight scene was probably the car for sure. But I will say, like, I appreciate that all of the fight scene played out as sex scenes. So, like, like just being somebody that's a film person, if you've ever worked behind the scenes in film, like I do cinematography, whatever, there's certain like angles, you know what I'm saying? There's certain angles you recognize, there's certain like scenes that you recognize where it's like, this is usually how a sex scene would start, you know? And it's like, I love that every moment, even though it's a violent fight scene, it almost plays out like an intimate sex scene. Even something as simple as like, the hand on the window, which is like something you get in Titanic. You know what I'm saying? Like when they're fighting in the car, or like, them being laid out and like just like stretched out and like breathing at the end. That's something that happens after sex. A crazy night of sex leads the same way, broken furniture and whatever. Um, so I love that. Although it was a fight scene, each fight scene was kind of intimate in a weird way. Like it was like their kind of bonding moment. Like instead of them really talking and getting closer, their way of kind of becoming best friends is like, we're just gonna fight till the death, but
No,
we
till the
don't
can't
die.
death. He's gonna fight.
Right, till the can't death, until we pass out. And I love that. Granted, it was graphic because sometimes you're like, oh, like your ribs hurt seeing Deadpool get stabbed 1,000 times in the ribs. Um, but yeah, I love the scenes, and I love that like we're finally. This is the first movie I've seen where Wolverine's been in where Wolverine's fight style matched his powers or even his name. Like, he's always been called Wolverine, but we never get to see him fight cat like or anything. So I really appreciated that his fighting style was like low to the ground. He was on all fours for a lot of it. And you realize like this dude is small but powerful.
Yep.
And I feel like this movie made him a lot more like compact Furiosity, I guess. Because in every other movie he's standing erect and he's fighting the same as everybody else. So I appreciated at bare minimum the fight choreography. I like that Deadpool also fought as like sort of like a mercenary
Mm-hmm.
throughout. His is a lot more like militant and he's using a lot more guns and
Mm-hmm.
weapons. Right. And the two guns at the end, oh, so sexy. Crazy how he got them. We'll talk about it later, but we love it. And yeah, so I will say though, which we didn't talk about, maybe we're gonna go back to it, but the opening fight scene was insane.
Oh, fantastic.
And
Yeah.
the editing, who like to where I want the actual music with all of the like cuts, with all the
Yeah,
moments in Bye Bye Bye.
Yeah.
Because I was like, damn, yo, at this point the editor did their own remix and this shit is fire.
Yep.
And like him using the like Wolverine's adamantium
Yeah.
claws,
Yeah.
the bones,
And
I was like, "Yeah!"
all the body
Like to
parts.
where I'm actually working on. I met a really good like 3D printer recently. I'm gonna have him make me the
The
Deadpool's hands
adamantium
with the
claws. Yeah.
Wolverine, with the adamantium claws with the fucking
That's a smart
bones.
Like
one.
the title
Very
sequence
excited about
pops up
that.
when he's
It's
like
next
that.
on my shelf. Yeah, next on my shelf for sure. And him standing there with the
Yeah,
claws,
yeah.
come on. But yeah, I thought every single fight scene was like so worth it.
Yeah.
It was just like I really don't have one complaint of a fight scene from anybody, like even when we got to see Blade, Elektra, and Gambit fight, Gambit's fight style was fire.
Oh,
Like I felt like it was one of the
breakdance.
few times I got to see the breakdancing, and then we actually got to see him like throw the cards and charge all the cards at once, and he turns out. I was like, ah!
That was a great
Yeah.
part
Losing my shit.
of seeing
Yeah.
Gambit in an R-rated film, is that we got to see the cards do what the cards do. I think some people
Yeah.
who
I
don't
never
know,
get to see the cards do what
right?
the cards do. Right.
Yeah.
Like I feel like
Right.
some people kind of might look down on Gambit, not realizing, because they think, oh, what's his powers? That's nothing. But it's like,
Yeah.
no,
Close up magic. Nice.
right? His powers are, like that kinetic buildup of energy. That's actually a very dangerous power in the right
Yeah.
hands, so to speak. I think he did a fantastic job.
Right.
As
Oh.
much as he was a butt of jokes, when it came down to fighting, he's no joke. Like no.
Amazing.
And I loved how
So good.
X-23 took out Juggernaut. You can't just cut his legs tendons.
Just cut his ankles off. Yeah, Achilles. Everybody got that Achilles heel.
Which this is the first time we mentioned her, by the way, X-23.
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah, I was so happy to see her back.
I was going to say that to you, Andrew. In terms of what do you think of X-23? I think in some cases, at least for Logan, she was the heart of the movie, but it made sense for her character. What do you think of X-23's return and her glasses?
Once, firstly, it felt old because I was like, ain't that little girl from Logan?
Right? The woman now? What the hell?
Yeah, like,
Shit.
where have I been in the void? Like,
Right.
what is happening here? Did I get snapped? Well, I don't know what's
Seriously.
going on. But great acting from her too, right? I think she brought it. Just like the little looks. Like there was a time when she first came in the cave and she looked at Logan and he literally just like looked through her. Once again, great acting, right? Because you could see her remembering him, whereas he's like, "Why are you looking at me, kid?" Right?
As he goes for a bottle of whiskey.
Exactly,
reaches for
right?
Jack Daniels.
Like similar to Thanos, right? Like Endgame Thanos when he was like, I don't know you, Wanda. When Wanda was like, oh, you killed my lover, and Thanos was like, who the hell are you? So that was really good, and I liked, again, I just like the connections, right? Because it was a great way to still continue to use her character while bringing it back from the old IP, right? And like you said, it didn't feel forced, but it was nice to kind of get to see her more. And yeah, though I nitpicked on Juggernaut for being weak, yeah, cutting the ankles always a favorite move of mine. When she did that, I was like, "You go, girl!"
Because the thing is,
Your glasses.
with Juggernaut, he's the unstoppable Juggernaut. So once he's moving, you can't stop him.
Yeah,
so the best way is to stop him from moving.
Don't even
cut the
start, bro.
ankles.
Yeah.
Just cut the ankles.
Right, just keep himself.
That just it made sense. I wish it was Vinnie Jones. But I read.
I know, me too. I was so sad it wasn't.
Didn't he
Vinny
say
Jones.
he never wants to do this
Yeah,
again?
he
I read
refused.
that once.
Yeah, he didn't want to do it.
He hates everything related to Juggernaut.
Yeah. I think they
And
did
it was
ask,
sad.
but he said no. He was the one. He also didn't want to do the costume.
Yeah, he hates the costume, right? It was a lot of effort, apparently.
It would have been fun to see him.
I feel like, come on, bro, just a little bit. Like, come on.
Like, what else are you doing, bro? Come on.
But
Come
anyways,
on.
One of my favorite fight scenes was the one take fight scene against all the Council of Deadpools. I think that's a fight scene that you need to really pay attention to. A lot of things happen. One of my
There's
favorite.
so much going on.
There's a
in that
moment
fight
where
scene.
Samurai Deadpool goes to stab regular Deadpool. Regular Deadpool dodges out the way. The knife falls on the floor. Samurai Deadpool impales him on his own knife, grabs two guns to the face. Like there's moments that are very intricate in the details. One shot take, and things are happening. And you're like, oh my god, what's that?
Just like Guardians 3, right?
Yeah, exactly, just like the hallway scene,
vibe.
right? It's like a great hallway scene, and you even have a cowboy pool played by Matthew McConaughey. By the way, at least he voiced him.
What? I didn't know that.
Yeah, Matthew McConaughey voices cowboy.
There was a lot of random like cameos in
all
the
right.
Yeah, like obviously Lady Pool was Blake Lively,
Yes,
obviously.
no,
but the babies were actually their kids.
Yeah, the young
like Baby
Kid
Pool and Kid Pool.
Yeah, but fun fact, Blake Lively wasn't Lady Deadpool because she's married to Ryan Reynolds. The actual creator of Deadpool, Rob Liefeld, said he based the model of Lady Deadpool on Blake Lively when he created the character. So that's why he took it. So it goes
Wow.
deeper than people think it's just his wife. There's actually more depth
Breaking
to
the fifth wall, because
it.
I don't even know what's
Right.
happening now, right?
Yeah. Speaking of breaking the fourth wall,
Right.
I can break the fourth wall too. The proposal. What do you think of?
That was mad funny. The fuck? You think that's what the fuck I do?
Andrew, what do you think
so,
of Nice Pool?
so Nice Pool was so it looks strange seeing. I'm not used to seeing. I guess we've never seen pretty Ryan Reynolds in Deadpool costume,
And
right?
full
Because
Canadian accent.
yeah, right. Like this is two guys and the pizza place. What's that show called? OG Ryan Reynolds, and he was just. I love Ryan Reynolds, right? I hope he lives a very long life because he's just so funny. Just like all his mannerism, everything he says, just him on screen. Deadpool hating Nice Pool. Just it was all just so good. This long flowy
Said
hair, and his little, and then the dog, like the banter between them and the dog was.
Dog pool.
that ugly ass dog. Oh my.
Which
Licking his
apparently
face.
what it's the ugliest dog in the UK,
Yeah,
if
yeah,
I'm reading correctly.
it won
So
award for the ugliest dog in the UK. That's why it's in
so
the movie.
shout out
That
dog
is a
pool.
hideous dog. To the point where I was like, is it CG? That dog is so ugly. Like,
Yeah,
Licking the
that's
face. I'm
natural
just like,
beauty.
okay, I love my dog, but we're not doing that. We're not.
Yeah, right.
No,
Like
at all.
we're not
stop.
licking
At
the.
Just
all.
just stop. So those were
That dog is
great.
hideous.
when, he, when he's like, oh, don't worry, your healing. When your healing factor gonna kick in? Healing factor.
Oh man,
But it makes
I just
sense.
murdered
After
him.
the movie, I was like, duh. The whole thing that gives him the healing factor is the fact that he got sick and had to go through treatment.
Yeah,
This Deadpool obviously
he's just
never
a
got cancer,
mercenary,
I
Really,
don't think
yeah.
at all. He just, so I'm like, duh, he doesn't have
and
fucking
that's why
healing
he has
abilities.
armor plated costume as well, right? His
Hmm.
costume is more armor plated than everyone
Uh,
else's.
And it's things like that, right? Like it's a little thing that I think really make this a good movie. You'll see there are movies that are nostalgia merchants, if you get that phrase. And this wasn't one of those. It's a very well made movie that had a lot of nostalgia baked into the story, right? But those kind of little touches, right? Like, oh yeah, duh, he doesn't have healing because why? That's something that kind of elevated this movie for me.
He's
that was
like,
a hideous
when he was
dog.
using him as a shield, he's like, why are you stopping? Do you know how heavy you are? You bring him dead away. Give me a second.
So funny. You're gonna live.
Say it with me. And
Live.
as funny as it was,
I'm gonna live.
that moment by Ryan Reynolds as Nice Paul dying, that was really well acted. Like, yes, I'm gonna live. Blood splashing out of his mouth. He's
Can't
like,
feel my legs.
Uh,
Oh, so terrible.
one nitpick I will say though, and again, this I understand it. It's not necessarily something that's problematic. Is that I think the his the supporting characters from previous Deadpool movies were kind of like kept to the back.
gloss over it,
They're kind
yeah.
of glossed over, sidetracked. Like Peter, Dopinder, Colossus, Negasonic, Teenage Warhead, Yukio.
Yeah.
And like, hi Yukio, hi Wade. Like I missed that. Those moments. And again, I get it because it was about saving them. It wasn't about them. But they're kind of like relegated to the background. We didn't
Yeah.
get much development with them. Again, it's just a slight nitpick, but I understand it. What else do we have here? What do you think of the future of Deadpool's character, and are we going to see him in the MCU? Are we going to see him in PG movies? I'd love to see a movie where he's in a PG-13 movie, because PG-13 movie allows you to say one fuck in it. And I can imagine him breaking the fourth wall, like, oh, I can't wait to see it. When am I going to say it? When am I going to say it? But then someone else says it, and,
Yeah.
and he gets pissed off at that. Raven, what do you hope or think the future of both these characters? Are we going to see Hugh Jackman as Logan again? Are we going to see Deadpool? We're definitely going to see Deadpool again for sure. What do you think of
1
the
billion.
future?
Um,
Yeah.
I, one thing I've noticed about Marvel is that Marvel is very particular about like if they're gonna drop a line, it's coming back. So
Even if it
I
takes 10
really think the
years.
Marvel Jesus thing might end up being somewhat accurate. I think Deadpool might end
Fox,
up
I'm going to
being
Disneyland.
kind of a
Yeah.
catalyst
Had that been
being.
done.
You know what I'm saying? Like I
Oh
think
man.
Deadpool might end up being a more important part of the MCU than we think he is.
Why
Like
we
as
start
of now, I
crying?
don't think he's going to be a side character at all.
Mm-mm.
I think Deadpool might be the person that brings all of the Fox characters into the MCU. In some way or another. Um, because like I don't know, there's a couple like random moments. Like for those of you that don't know, like the movie started in Earth 10,005, which is literally just the Fox universe.
Hmm.
I had to Google it because I was like, where is that? But it's literally where all of the Fox movies exist. But I'm interested. Like, if he's still working for the TVA, technically he could, be the reason that a lot of the movies we're coming to see that are from Fox end up, existing, or he might have a cameo in every movie. Maybe he'd be the next. Maybe he'll be the next. What do you call him? Nick Fury of the franchise moving forward. You know how Nick Fury was like in every movie until he had his, until Avengers. Who knows? Maybe Deadpool is gonna do a couple more pop ups. I think I see Deadpool and Wolverine maybe being part of the TVA and kind of existing outside of the movies and like stepping in when they need to. Who knows? Maybe they'll be a part of the TVA to where when people need to be pruned or if there's any type of life events, it'd be
Yeah.
the two of them being buddy cops again.
Mm.
I really hope so, at least just because I love them so much on screen.
And
Yeah, we'll
That's,
see.
that's,
I'm interested because I feel like you can't get rid of them now.
you
no,
Two of the
can't.
no,
favorites.
it's too late now.
And,
What I do
and
like,
Plus he's gonna be doing this shit till he's 90. So
right?
all right.
What I do like is that that it is set up as, yes, they can come back at any moment, because again, this is a story with the TVA that it's not necessarily the TVA the villains. It was a subsect of the TVA trying to do their own
Yes.
thing,
right.
right?
Exactly.
Trying to do their own thing. And
Plus I love
Wumi,
what's her name?
Wumi,
That Woomy. Yeah,
Hmm.
I love her. So
She's
like
good.
I also love the little moment with her and Peter. We
Mm.
also have to bring up Peter
of
Pool.
course.
Yeah. Of
Um
course.
I love how throughout the entire movie Peter just has some type of effect on people, including you look damn good in that suit with his literal balls just hanging out. It was great. I love the chemistry between Peter and the head of the TVA. I definitely want to see that on screen again.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
I do like, well, I don't know. I don't know if you guys looked up the episode, but when they brought up the like Loki
Season
season one,
two,
episode 5
episode
of the
five with
Life,
the
I
live.
didn't get to watch it. I want to rewatch that specific episode to see if it gives me any like,
Is that alive?
because it's hinting at something. Like, is that the Easter egg of what's to
Hmm.
come, or like, because I don't remember. Like, I mean, I
Well,
saw
because also that
Loki
was
season 2 recently, but I don't remember season 1 like that
well,
at
because
all.
also that was the intro of Alith, right? It's the first time we see Alith, so that's why it's like, is that
And
Alith?
crazy enough, I don't remember Elias at
Really?
all,
That they go
bro,
to
at all. Like,
oh,
what?
because they
Who
go to
was that?
the Alith was a big smoke monster, and then like they're able to disable Alith for a bit to go through him to get to He Who Remains
Yeah.
at the end of the season.
Okay, yes. Okay, boom.
Yeah,
I was like, what?
yeah.
It's like I don't remember no big cloud. Like I don't think I remembered the big cloud having its own name and
uh,
being an entity. I
yeah,
remember the cloud they had to get through, but I didn't know that was a
yes,
thing. But yeah,
But wait, more on where I want to see Deadpool,
yes.
because I need Deadpool and Spider Man. If
I was
if
gonna
you're a
say
comic
what
fan,
other
yes,
it's just a need, right? It's the
it is.
same kind of
yes.
effect, just younger, more. He's a lot nicer to Spidey, right? Because he's kind of a kid,
Yep.
and I need to see that. And just also the idea that the only nitpick I had with the initial fight was that like I didn't hate those TVA workers, right? They were just regular guys gonna do their job, and then they're getting like ass fucked by Deadpool. So
Literally with claws, adamantium
One of
claws.
the
like,
balls run the butt.
so
Instead of, oh
I would
God,
love.
take it out. I can't. It's my first time.
So exactly, I need Deadpool's energy against like real like the scroll. Like I need to see him against a large group of villains that we're actually like angry with. I guess that's my future goals or wishes. Right, it's great we've had this done, but now all right. He's a fantastic fighter. Like every scene he fought, he like remember when he reloaded his guns mid-air before
Oh,
Wolverine.
yes.
It's just like, oh, it's amazing, but like I don't want you to kill Wolverine. So that was the only nitpick of, or more, not nitpick, more like future wishes. I now want to see Deadpool against the world, right? Like we agree, we all love him. Bring him in Avengers Secret Wars. Like at the end against Victor Von Doom when things are going Ari,
He's
Deadpool shows
definitely
up, right? Like he shows up like, isn't that Iron Man? Like I need one
Yeah,
of these. I need
yeah.
him to be the one that also continues that point, and I think that's what they have the virtue of using his character to do, right? He can break every single wall. He can talk about everything happening in the real world, and there's really no reason they won't. Especially, I mean, crossing a billion is not it's not a
In 3
joke
weeks,
in superhero fatigue era,
right?
right, of life.
Right.
So very
There's
much,
bad movies and there's good movies.
Right.
simple.
Period.
It's that simple, right? Like,
Make a good fucking movie. People are not going to be fatigued.
Right.
yeah,
Just do it right.
I still rewatch Batman Begins, random, just
You know, and it's
Yeah, it's facts.
you know, it's funny you say that. You talk about that fourth wall breaking and things like that. I think one of the great strengths of this movie was Marvel and Disney allowing Deadpool to be Deadpool, unapologetic, even making fun of them. Right, nothing was off the table. It's not like, oh,
hmm
you can't say this about us. You know,
I was
You
shocked,
can't say
honestly.
cocaine.
I was a
right,
little shocked. Yeah, even that, I was like,
All the nicknames for
coming in.
cocaine
yeah,
had
yeah,
me
right.
dying.
He's like, hey, welcome to the MCU. You're coming at a pretty low point. You know, like,
That was a great line too.
you know, like it's
I
just.
was like,
I
yes.
think one of the best things you can do in a situation like a studio like that is listen and be aware. Like, okay, yeah, we haven't been as great as we want to be, but it also showcases that there actually is a because the first step to doing better is being aware.
Yeah.
Right. The worst you can do is, Snyderverse DC is just
You know.
keep doing the same thing over and
Director's
over
cut.
again.
Release a 5-hour
Director's
cut.
cut.
That's what'll fix it.
Oh my
Like, bro, if
gosh.
your movie needs to be
Imagine,
5 hours, you need to
imagine,
rethink. You need to go
imagine
back to
Love,
the cutting
Love
board.
and Thunder director's cut. Like, sorry, what? I'm
It's
fine.
like
Oof.
it's just understanding that
Oof.
okay, maybe we need to kind of
Yeah.
pivot a bit more.
Movie was so boring.
Maybe we have to
What a
kind of
shame.
go a different direction. This isn't
Mm-hmm.
working. All right, we tried, it didn't work. Okay, let's
Mm-hmm.
try something else. And I think this is the first step in understanding that. In understanding that. All right, let's listen to that. Let's not be stubborn and say, "Well, shut up, fans. You just don't get it." That's
Yeah.
other people would say, "You just don't get it. You don't understand. This is supposed to be Superman. He breaks people's necks. You don't get it." No, they treat you better than the fucks down the street. Like
Yep.
this is.
Yeah. Marvel fans don't play that. I will say Marvel fans will be like, no, this sucked.
Yeah.
Like, we don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, if a
Yeah.
Marvel fan is disappointed in a movie,
Secret
a
Human.
Invasion.
Marvel fan will be like, that movie was trash.
Secret Invasion.
Whereas DC folks, Secret
Yeah.
Invasion, horrible. But
Oh my
DC
gosh.
fans will be like, no, you just don't understand. There was a lot of stuff happening behind the scenes. I mean, there's a lot of shit happening behind the scenes in Marvel movies, and they're still good. I don't hear shit.
I,
Um,
I,
and
I
when
hear,
they're
yeah.
bad, we admit they're bad.
But
We're
then,
like,
but then,
this shit was
but
trash.
it isn't like, oh, we're bad, so we're going to like sweep it under the rug and forget about it. It's bad, so we're going to make it into a narrative. That it's
Right,
like
we're gonna
it
fix it.
became part of the. So like if you're watching it all again, the MCU saga, and you're going through the bad movies. By the time you get to Deadpool, they kind of acknowledge that as part of the narrative. So now those
Mhm.
movies still are required viewing.
Exactly right. Like it almost explains out the badness
It's crazy.
somehow.
Marvel is so good to where they'll be like, we fucked up. All right, cool. We're going to mention it in this new movie.
Yeah.
And we're going to make you go back and watch
Right.
that movie you
Like
thought was bad.
Yeah,
Then you watch it again and you're like, shit, this is amazing.
right.
Now
it
all
wasn't
this
that bad.
information. What a
Yeah.
great movie.
Yeah, it's like, or even
Raven and Wolverine origins.
right, or even like
Yeah.
again, just
Can't go
quickly.
back. Can't go back.
Yeah.
I think the end credit sequence does a great job of that. Just that, right? Where it's like, well, fuck
No.
you, man. I know this
It
movie's
got
so
me a little
bad.
emotional because once again, I felt old. I was
You
like,
know,
oh shit.
like
I was around for the release of all of these.
like these movies. I
Everyone.
remember them in theaters. That's how old
Yeah.
I
Right.
remember.
I saw all of them in theaters, like all of them. I was like, wow.
And so, like, even the
I'm
bad ones,
aging
you're
with
like,
it.
okay, they were bad, but they were our bad.
Right.
As I
It
always
took
say,
the bad to get the good.
listen. I watched Smallville, man. I can do anything.
Was that like 20 seasons?
And it's one of those things where it's like, in order for you to understand that, you have to watch those movies. So it's like, so the bad movies still are made relevant. You're not ignoring them. You're not sweeping them under the rug. You're making them
Yeah.
relevant to some extent. And it also, sometimes you're saying, okay, the movies are bad, but we like the characters. So let's
Mhm.
kind of bring some of these characters back.
Mhm.
Just because they were bad movies doesn't mean they were bad characters.
Mhm.
They meant what they tried their best. They just didn't succeed. And I thought there was a great job of doing that. What other things? Any random things you want to bring up that we haven't spoken about?
I have random quotes. I did like the moment of when when Blade tells Deadpool like I don't like you, and
You
his
never
response
did.
is you never
You
did.
never did.
Great,
And I'm like,
great cameo.
oh
Great cameo.
yeah. Because for those of you that don't know,
Yeah.
both Ryan Reynolds and Wesley Snipes obviously were in Blade 2 and 3.
Yeah, I think it was just Blade 3.
I think it was 2 and 3,
Was he
no?
in two? No,
Just 3?
it's just 3.
I
Hannibal
thought they came
King.
back with the
I
same
know
team
I
in
know
three.
Trinity for sure.
Yeah,
Maybe cameo into
Definitely
I
in
don't know.
three.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, so they were both in Blade 3, where Ryan Reynolds played like an annoying fucking mercenary that worked alongside Blade.
Blade 3 was 20
He was
years
not
ago.
Deadpool then, but obviously it was a nice little wink and nod at all of the fans that have seen the original. Also, if y'all haven't seen the Blade franchise, it's still fire. I don't care. And
Amazing.
then oh, I love it when they killed Homeboy, when Wolverine killed the dude. And he tried to come up monologuing and he killed him. He was like, not everyone gets a speech. You have no idea how long. Not everyone gets a
There's
speech.
a great cameo in terms of that. There's a character in Deadpool 1 and 2 called Randall at the bar, one of the mercenaries at the bar. And in the second Deadpool film, the character has a line and he messes up his line, and then literally Wade says, "No more speaking lines for you." And then he's in this film and he's about to speak. He's at the party, and Deadpool cuts him off. He's like, "No, you don't get to talk." And I
Oh,
thought
that was
that,
him. I
yeah,
remember that line.
That's great. That's awesome. That's awesome. I didn't know that.
nice little callback.
Um, I did like the moment of when the cameo team, Elektra, Blade, and Gambit were talking, and how they said they never even gave us a chance to fight for it. I was like, oh, like TVA never gave us a chance to fight for it, and I was like, that's a sweet little moment because like a lot of us love their movies. You
Mhm.
know
Yeah,
what I'm
man.
saying? Blade was fire. Elektra was
Amazing.
dope when it came out. We didn't get a Gambit. So I do like the idea of like we never got the chance to fight for it on some like just because like Fox didn't really care to bring it back. The MCU wasn't trying to, so it's like, oh, give these guys a second chance. And I feel like this was the fight for their moment. So I did like that. And when X-23 says to Wolverine, "You were always the wrong guy,"
I love that.
Until you weren't.
I love that moment, right? Because it's like technically, and I'm a fan of
Mm.
Wolverine comics. One of my favorite things about Wolverine is that he's always the reluctant hero. Wolverine has
Always.
never saved the
He's
day
never the
because he
right guy.
wants to. Never. He is the epitome of the hero's journey in a story. Like
Unless Jean was kidnapped.
like
That's
reluctant hero every time. Right, right. Unless one of his people is
Jean.
kidnapped or threatened or they steal one of his girlfriends or
Yeah.
something. He's usually really not trying to fight at all. He's just trying to chill. Like this man's trying to live out his little extended
Yeah.
life
Yeah.
peacefully and people just won't let him.
Extended.
So I do like, the whole you were always the wrong guy. Because nobody ever hires Wolverine because they want to. They hire him because he's, around
hmm
and he's probably gonna kick some ass. But it's like, oh yeah. And I like the moments of him and X-23 on screen all together.
hmm
Because you also realize like the actors know each other
Yeah.
Mhm.
from Logan,
Yeah.
so their chemistry is really good. And I like being able to come back to that because I always wondered if we would see X-23 again.
Mm-hmm.
And I was worried that Fox and MCU wouldn't merge before Young Avengers.
hmm
So I was like, I don't know. I want her around
Yeah.
with the young people set. Even if she's not a part of the Young Avengers, I want her to be a part of,
Mm-hmm.
the young crew
hmm
coming up.
And Andrew, what are some of your favorite moments and quotes?
There three I remember. Deadpool saying I look like a testicle with teeth. I mean, it's just so the imagery. I don't. Secondly was when Wolverine walked out at the point and he saw the suit and he said, "Your tailor is a predator."
Yeah. After Deadpool gets
All the butt
fitted,
grabs and trunk grabs.
but he makes it one
It's
great
just so-
costume.
It's a main
That was
costume for
great.
sure. And then Deadpool says to Blind at the point, if you could hear the look on my face, you'd smell how sad I am. It's
So
just, I
stupid.
think the movie is just so great because it's like ping pong, right? It's just like back to back quips and one liners,
Right.
and that is what Deadpool is. That is why we go to the movies, and just every quote was delivered with just excellent accuracy. So once again, shout out, Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman.
Yeah.
I think even at the end, last, I remember when Wolverine had been also reluctant. I think around when he put on the cowl, right? And then he was like, "I get to kill 100 U's." Yeah, I'm ready.
He's ready.
Yeah. Like, I've been waiting for this.
Speaking of waiting for this, I didn't know my daddy, but I'm sure I shut out his ready. And he's like,
Oh
Jesus.
That
my
is
gosh.
oddly
He's
graphic.
like, Jesus, that's graphic. He's like, yep. He was laying those buttery nuts up inside my mama, and I just popped up like, "What's up, Doc?"
Like the bugs, but all in that accent. Sorry, this is why you have to see the
Who is your
movie.
dialogue coach? The minions? We're
Dialect
missing
coach.
valid points here.
It's
uh,
things like that because I think I was thinking at that exact time. Great accent. But wait, what did he just say? And then Deadpool dropped that line,
Right.
and it's just like,
It's been a while since I've seen
mm,
Sling Blade. Sling Blade. So stupid.
all right,
Uh,
let me ask you both.
Oh, the only
Yeah.
last thing I will say is like I did love a lot of the camera moments, like camera reveals. Like after the fight scene in the car,
Yeah.
it like goes to zoom in on the
just
coexist, which is
yeah.
what I said about like I
Mhm,
love how it played out like sex scenes.
mhm,
You know, because technically this was a gay man moment
mhm.
right here.
Uh,
You know, I love the camera reveal with the staples in his head.
Yeah.
You know, like when he first arrives at the TV,
And he goes
his
like,
head's
you,
down on
you
the
seem to have
table.
sold yourself in your sleep. I wasn't sleeping.
I wasn't sleeping. It's so good. Yes, I love. It was just a lot of great like camera
And
reveals.
funny point, Raven. You know the song in the car that was playing was "You're the One That I Want" from Greece,
Yes.
which
Okay.
honestly
Also, I
that
forgot to
plays into
mention
the
that.
romance. Yeah, like
Forgot to mention that because it's one of
that's.
my favorite movies of
I
all
remember
time. I
that
love
movie a lot.
Grease.
Yeah, so I heard it
So
and
the
I
second that
howled.
it cued the music, I was like, "No, they're gonna fight to this song." So yeah, still
Speaking
again,
of
Yes.
my favorite fight scene maybe of all time.
speaking of music cameos, we spoke about the bye bye cameo in the beginning, but there's more layers to that
Life
because
is a
in oh,
mystery.
actually, with that another one, it was Madonna's decision to add the choir to that song as well because they
And
Okay.
didn't have
she killed
they had
that.
they had a
Okay.
Because
choir
in
Okay.
in
the
there.
end, I was
Yeah,
like,
it's just
this is
epic.
so epic.
Yeah.
Can
No,
I
it
tell
was.
you? I'm sorry, I don't care. I was like wet for Wolverine. When you see those abs, I was like, holy shit! Like when
We
Deadpool
all
looks,
were.
Mhm.
I
I
was
love how
like,
Deadpool looks and goes, oh.
like oh shit! Like
Because the second his shirt
just,
blast off, I was like, yes, this is what we've all been waiting for.
just the abs.
This is
I
what
was
I
like,
mean by
holy
fan
shit!
service. Like,
Yep.
they gave us a perfect amount of fan service. I left out of that movie feeling like I had multiple orgasms. Like, that
Like
shit
what?
was great. Especially like the reveal of his
Just like,
fucking,
but
of his
still wearing the
shirt.
cowl, right? He's still wearing the
Yep.
cowl. The
Yep.
shirt,
When, oh, it's
just
everything I've ever needed. I was like, with the mask
like
on.
I
Keep
like
the
to
mask
work
on.
out, right? Keep it on. No,
Right,
no,
keep
no,
the
keep it
mask
on,
on.
keep it on.
Keep it on.
you
Keep
know,
it on. Keep it on.
like
So
as much
good.
I like to work out, and this movie made me realize, nope, no, I don't. I need to step up because
You say you do.
I'm not shit. Like nope.
Like, this man is 60, bro.
Like when when you're younger, you got out like a action or martial arts movie, and you're like, yes, I'm gonna fight now.
You
You
just
know,
want to punch things.
that's how I
Yeah.
felt coming out when I just saw the six pack. I was just like, damn it, I need to do, I need to work out right
Right.
now. What the hell? And
Oh.
gone.
um,
I was gonna say another.
No, I would say the moment where he was like, I've been waiting a long time for this team up. I don't know if it was emotional for
Of
y'all, but I
course,
got a little like,
of course.
oh,
It,
like
it
before they go into the room to like save the
yeah.
day. And he's like, I've been waiting a long time for this team up. I was like, you
Uh,
really have. It's been like 20
it's
years.
perfect. Speaking
Right.
of callbacks, again, as I was saying, the intro song with the "Bye Bye Bye." What's nice about that is many people don't remember in Deadpool in X-Men 2 when the mansion gets attacked and they escape with the kids. Pyro turns the radio on and that song plays, and Logan's like, "No, turn that shit off," and they turn it off. Find the scene. I put it probably in the link, but I was like, "Oh, that's a great little callback." So
That's fire.
Literally.
there's a reason that song was used.
That's
It's a
fire.
nice little touch, and that song is again,
And that dancer killed it.
oh, so good.
Absolutely
It is
killed
not
it.
Can
Ryan
I tell?
Reynolds,
At first,
guys.
I
I
was
had to
like,
look it up too. It
the
is
moves
not Ryan
were too
Reynolds.
smooth. I was like,
I
is
knew
I
it
was like,
wasn't.
there's no
My
way.
too
wife I was
smooth?
like,
Because
"There's
I was
no
like,
way, no way,
and I
no
was
way."
like, and whoever's doing it got a little, they a little feisty.
Like it was way too
Like,
smooth.
okay, queen.
Like it was too nice. I was like, that's not Ryan
I was like,
Reynolds.
no,
He's
this is
not.
a professional.
No,
It has to be. And I looked it up and I was like, oh, okay. Like, if look up Dance Pool, guys. There's
actually
a whole
his story as
dancer.
well.
He's a beast.
The
Yep.
actor, I forget his name, but he was told he was like, because all the secrecy behind Marvel, his agents called him as like, you have 2 hours to learn the bye bye dance. It's like, why? Just do it. Like didn't tell him what movie it was for, or whatever. Just do you know the dance? If you don't, you have 2 hours to do it, record it. I'm gonna send it to somebody. And he was like, okay, fine, whatever. And that's how he did it and then got that role. I thought
His
that's
name
great.
is Nicholas Pauly.
There
He's
you
a
go.
dancer.
There you go. And I thought that was great for him.
Great job, Nick.
All right, great job,
Killed
Nick.
it.
I thought
Killed it.
it was brilliantly done.
Because I was in the theater trying to get it too. I was like,
Yeah, trying to see what I
I had the
remembered.
moves
You
on.
know,
Right.
Because I remember half of them and I was proud of it. Like the nod when he turns his head to the side and does the 3 nod.
that's
I was
my
like,
wife's favorite
yeah,
part.
that's
And
the best
that's
part.
the all us millennials were all like really into it. And again, that song's actually come back into the charts because of this movie. You know, it's back in the
It's one
charts.
of the top 10 songs on streaming right now. Literally, like it
And
just came
deserves
out.
deserves
Yes,
it.
Top 5 last week.
but yes, it's not the Deadpool
Crazy.
dance, Gen Z. It's in sync. Okay, okay, it's in
It's
sync. It's in
literally
sync
in sync
dance done by
choreography.
Deadpool. Okay, it's not.
Right. Done
Everyone's
by
like,
Dance Pool.
yeah, done by Dance Pool. Yes, yes. Actually, that's how he's credited as Dance Pool.
Credited.
And sorry, this is a random thing because I just remembered. I don't want to forget. I couldn't keep it together every time I saw him with the hair stapled on his head, looking like a bad doll. Like
So good.
it's just
It's so good.
oh my
I thought it was really
goodness,
well done.
this little toupee.
Um, I think that we can talk about this forever. And I would love to talk about this forever. I think it's a movie we'll continue to talk about.
Till we're
I
90.
might go see it again today.
Yeah,
Damn.
seriously, I have to go
Right.
see this movie once more to notice the things that I didn't notice. I want to look at everything in the background in the
Right.
void, right? All the little we even see,
Deadpool saved.
you know, even simple
Yeah.
things like we see the ice cream truck from Moon Knight, like it's just there randomly in the background.
Oh,
You know,
Yeah.
you know, things like that. Just
Yeah.
random things that are there that you don't expect to be there. And I was like, oh yeah, that's great. I love that. And
So
just
excited.
the multiverse nature of it. And I can't wait to see Deadpool full on in the MCU. I like that this movie doesn't really take place in the 616, but it's about him trying to get there. You know, it's not really, you only get really one scene in the 616, and that's his scene with Happy. You know, and I thought that it's not a story about him traversing the multiverse, going to all these places. It's just like him trying to be a hero, trying to do the right thing. But also, I like the emotional through line. You know, like again, we haven't talked about it mostly, but with Vanessa, you know, he puts pressure on himself that I need to be better. She doesn't pressure him. It's just how
Oh, we
he
didn't
sees
talk
things,
about Vanessa at all.
right?
It's fine.
It's how
Oops.
he sees. It's how he sees things, and I think you know those of us we've all been in a relationship. Oh my god, all three of us are married. Wow, we're old.
Wow. Crazy.
Right. And
What a world, Dave.
right.
See, nerds do
When we
find
first
love.
met, I was like, I'm never getting married, bro. That shit don't make no sense.
20 years later.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's that story,
Aged like Wolverine.
right? But we all kind of been there where it's like sometimes you feel like, why does this person like me? Why, you know, I need to be better, and realizing that, you know, you don't necessarily have to be better for the person. They just want you there. And that's the thing that Wade didn't realize. You know, he leaves her because he's like, I had to be better. I had to prove myself. He's trying to overprove himself, you know, in that kind of narrative where and even Cassandra takes advantage of that, right? In that scene where
Mhm.
she's like saying stuff that didn't actually happen, but that's how he sees what happened. That's how he perceived everything. You know, she even says, you know, Vanessa actually said, no, you're my person. We're the same, you know, quoting the first Deadpool movie, but he just kind of put this pressure on himself that no, I can only be better if I'm an Avenger. I can only be better if I do this, and I like that as an emotional angle for him, even though we don't see much of Vanessa in them. It's his,
Yeah.
and that's good. That plays on it, right? It's that I his almost like his self sabotage is thinking that he needs to be better, but in doing that he's not present in this in his way, right? And he leaves her for like
I,
2 years and things like that. What were you
I
gonna say?
originally couldn't remember how Vanessa was back on my screen. Like my wife had to be like,
End credit
"You
clean.
remember in the end with
Yeah.
Cable and the time?" I was like,
Yep, we're back in time.
"No,
But they mention
no,
it.
I
They
don't."
mention this movie. He's like,
So I was watching. I was like, "How?" I was like, "She got shot though."
and even the
Yeah.
TVA mentioned it. He's like, Did you bring me here because of all the time travel stuff? He's like,
They're
no,
like,
no, none of that. Though
out
you
of here,
did,
you're
though
silly savings.
you did do a lot of.
Yeah, but like you're so inconsequential that no.
Right.
Whatever.
And
Oh,
Oh
Marvel
my god.
though I
Jesus.
did love how they loved Logan, like him. Logan, he's the greatest one. Look at him.
No, when they showed this scene from Logan and everybody knew the words.
Yep.
They were like,
They're just miming the words.
Yeah.
Him, we love him so much.
he gets it. He gets it. That random
The
guy in the
random guy
fucking in the
working
office
there.
that
Yeah.
was like gay for Deadpool.
Yeah, right.
Amazing.
With his cup.
He gets
Oh
it.
my goodness.
I like me. I need that
Yeah.
mug. That's
Right.
the mug I should have had today. Damn it. I got my pizza plan. I gotta
That's
get
right.
a I like me mug. Yeah, that was good. Oh, and I want to say my last thing before we leave, and my biggest question leaving the entire movie experience is Why is Thor crying?
Why is Thor
100%.
crying?
Gotta know.
We have to know.
Gotta find out why Thor is crying over Deadpool.
Again, the director's like, that's what
I'm
Kevin
very
Feige to figure
excited for
out.
Marvel to explain
That
that.
was a great cameo too. Just gonna say, top 5. Like, it was a little
Right.
short one, but still, it was
Just
it was
in
a great
little
one.
screen.
I love anything Chris Hemsworth. I'm here for.
Of course, of
Right.
course.
Yeah,
All right.
that's definitely my biggest takeaway. Is like, nah, but seriously, why is
Seriously,
Deadpool crying?
Right. Why is he crying? And again, they kind of set themselves up in the perfect way by being like, yeah, in the far future. So it doesn't have to be the next movie or the next
Right.
movie.
We might not see why for 20 years.
And that's the thing.
Trash.
I think a lot of fans sometimes they think, oh, where's this character or that plot point? It hasn't come back. Sometimes they play the long game.
Yeah.
For one, people have complained,
Yeah.
oh, in Eternals you had that big giant figure pop out of the ocean. Well, they're dealing with that in the new Captain America movie.
That has been pissing me off
you
for
know,
about 7 movies,
but
though. I can't lie. Like, we just not gonna talk about this.
Mm,
I'm like, when are we gonna bring up that? Okay, maybe maybe it hasn't happened yet.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like in the timeline, because it's all over the place. I'm like, maybe that's in the future slightly.
But not in that. I think what's good about it is that because a lot of movies out since then have been either being contained or characters going somewhere else or dealing with something else. It's like for example, you had Doctor Strange after that, but he's multiverse traversing. You had Spider Man after that. He's trying to get other
Multiverse.
villains.
He's far from home.
you know, you-
And he's in New York, right?
You have Guardians, which is in space.
In space.
So and the next movie that makes sense to deal with that is
The Marvel
new
space.
Captain America
Captain
4,
America,
which
on
is dealing with
on
that. We're seeing,
Earth,
right
we're
in the
earthly,
trailer,
earthbound.
New World Order, and actually, fun fact for those.
I'm excited for that.
Fun fact,
I'm
Raven.
excited for that.
The big god statue Tiamat is made of adamantium.
Adamantium.
Dun, dun, dun.
I saw.
Adamantium.
So
That's
it's like,
gonna be crazy.
so it's like
They're all
just
fighting over it.
right, and I love that because it's like, well, just be patient. We're gonna get there. We've been setting
Yeah.
things up, but we're gonna get there. And I think again, you go back and watch these things again, you start seeing the hindsight. You're like, fine, whatever, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Fine, I'll give it to you. Take my money. Take more.
Shut up and take
Whatever.
my money.
I always make jokes. I'm always like, you're gonna see it.
Yeah.
Y'all talk all this shit. You're gonna be there.
Yeah.
You're gonna be there opening night. You're gonna be
Yeah.
there opening weekend.
Like,
Shut up and go.
That's the thing. It's like, as much as someone said to me, I'm tired of Marvel movies. I'm like, shut up. You watch Deadpool. Don't tell me you're tired. Again, like Raven said, good and
Right.
bad. That's it. It's not tired of Marvel. It's not superhero fatigue. I always tell people, I will accept superhero fatigue when a good movie bombs. Then okay,
Yeah.
fine. Then I'll accept
Yeah.
it.
Right.
But like, it's not
Right.
fatigue if the good movies are doing well. Like, it's the most successful R-rated movie of all time. It
Yep.
beat Passion of the Christ. He is the Marvel Messiah. Like, like.
That was so funny.
He
though.
called it Marvel Jesus.
You remember
So
he walked into Paradox and he was like, "He has risen, baby girl."
I gotta tell you, I love that moment with
That's
Paradox
hilarious.
because he gets excited when Paradox like, "You want to join the 616?" He's like, "Suck it, Fox! I'm going to Disneyland." That excitement is like all of us.
Yeah,
You're like,
it
"Oh my
is.
god!"
Yeah, it's the
I'm
best.
excited.
Suck
But-
it, Fox. I'm going to Disneyland.
But yeah,
Oh,
this is
This
our fourth.
This is the
ending.
way to have. This is the only movie they've made this year, right? Marvel, Disney.
Yes,
right?
yes,
This
yes.
is,
Get
and I think this is how you do it, right?
Yes.
Like, well done.
I think
Right,
so.
and I don't want nothing else because if you're gonna, I
Right.
don't want you to water down the the quality that I just got from
Yeah.
this movie. Don't water it down. Leave me alone. I don't need no shows. I don't need any specials. I don't need any movies. I'm gonna watch this until 2025 when I go to see Captain America.
Like when you're a
Leave
kid.
me the hell alone. Don't make nothing else.
When you're a kid, like you'd watch the same movie over and over and over again. This is that movie.
Yeah.
Right, and it gives me time to rewatch everything before Captain America because it's been a while.
And Fantastic Four, which you better not get wrong.
Next year. And I think they'll knock it out of the park. And again, this is a Marvel that's realizing, okay, we messed up. Let's fix it. Let's fix it without erasing our fuck ups, right? 'Cause you have to be
Exactly.
aware.
Acknowledge.
Yeah, acknowledge it. Okay, how can we spin
Acknowledge me.
that? And use it. Anyway, what do you nerdies think of this movie? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Everything in between? Is it everything you've wanted? Well, if you hated it, I don't want to hear from you. Whatever.
You hate
If you
yourself.
hated it, why you here? Weird.
Well, like, come on, we've been talking for
But
almost
thanks
2
for
hours.
being here.
Why are you here? But Find us on social media at The Nerdy Bunch. And we also have a new email address, the Nerdy Bunch Podcast at gmail.com. So if you want to send us any messages, you can send us a message there. I'm sure we're going to be talking about this movie going forward in other podcasts. We're probably going to throw in quotes. I've been quoting this movie my whole life, especially, I'm about to make a name for myself.
Quoted that like 10 times already.
And like, I don't think you guys survived this. I don't care. He's like, no, we better tell everybody what happened here. That's me to my wife every time I go to the bathroom.
Zing.
On that note, thank you, Raven.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew.
And thank you, Raven and Dave.
My name's English Dave, and this has been a Nerdy Bunch review. This has been a Nerdy Bunch presentation of Sonic the Marvel, about where we spoke about Deadpool and Wolverine. And as always, Raven, you haven't said it in a while.
Keep it nerdy. Peace.